Hello, Internet friends. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett. Here is your Wednesday weather update. We've got a fairly benign pattern out there. It's just a very fancy way of saying there's really not a whole lot going on, but it is kind of cold out there. In fact, anywhere else in the country, any other time of the year, it'd be kind of weird to be wearing a puffer indoors, but this is the Pacific Northwest and you can totally get away with that. Overnight temperatures will be once again cooling into the 30s. It looks like most of us will be staying slightly above the freezing mark overnight tonight, but it doesn't negate the fact that we're basically locked in this pattern where 30s in the overnights, 40s, possibly some 50s early next week. We've got a blocking pattern. I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. Basically what it's doing is taking anything that's trying to come in off the Pacific and diverting it away from us and down towards the south. In fact, it's been fantastic news for parts of Oregon and California that are under severe drought. So we're happy to share the love with them. In fact, they've been throwing down some snow in a lot of the mountains in California, including the Sierra Nevada range, and that's going to be really, really good news for them come springtime when they go to use that water. You know what? We're going to start off with something kind of fun tonight. What we've got is your Seahawks forecast. Remember, they're playing in Munich, Germany this weekend. So der Himmel ist blau, die Vogel singt, and das ist sehr schön, which is a very fancy way of saying that the sun will shine, the birds will sing, and the temperatures are going to be very nice. It's going to be sunny and basically very similar to what we're experiencing here, about 5 degrees warmer, if you can believe that. 55 at game time and then into the upper 40s by the time they finish off. Now remember, Germany I think is about 9 hours different than it is here, so kickoff 6:30 in the morning. Light winds coming in from the east-southeast. If anything changes, we'll let you know. But here's what's great about that. It gives the Seahawks the advantage because, well, Tampa is in Florida. Florida is warm, so we are more accustomed to that type of weather. Take a look at what's going on here. This is that blocking pattern that I was mentioning earlier. So when I put this into motion, watch what happens. That high pressure will get pushed off towards the east, but it will still have enough influence that it takes that low and drives it down towards the south there. So again, as I mentioned, it did bring some moisture, some rain, some mountain snow to Oregon, California, Nevada, even Arizona, places that could desperately use it. So we're very happy to see that. In fact, let me show you in a different way here. High pressure just blocks storms. There's moisture out in the Pacific. It's just not headed our way until late next week. So if you've been looking for an opportunity to get out into the yard and maybe get a little work done, rake some leaves, the next few days is going to be a great time to do that. Nicole has strengthened from a tropical storm into a Category 1 hurricane. Is expected to make landfall along the eastern shores of Florida there. In fact, central Florida. I lived in Melbourne, Florida for many, many years there, and it looks like this is going to make landfall just about 50 miles south of Melbourne. So that actually puts Melbourne in what's called the dirty quadrant, which is kind of the northeastern quadrant where the strongest winds, the highest probability of tornadic activity, and some of that storm surge will take place. Category 1 isn't that big of a deal. We're talking about sustained winds that'll be in the 70s, possibly low 80s. They've taken a lot of storms like that, but erosion is going to be a big issue there. And then as that system continues to walk up the east coast, it's going to deliver quite a bit of water to folks all the way up and down the eastern seaboard. The good news is it doesn't look like it's going to have any impact on the areas that were previously hit by that hurricane about a month ago. I got great news for folks up towards Whatcom County. Take a look at this. The Fraser outflow is no longer a thing. In fact, we're going to see some very light, very benign wind. You'll see the word calm on the map quite a bit and lots of single-digit wind there. So it won't be as bitter cold or as gusty as it has been up in our northern counties. It looks like both Skagit and Whatcom and even Clallam counties are going to do very well for the next couple of days. A little bit of offshore influence will, well, not really keep us warmer, but it will at least keep us from being really, really cold. Overnight lows tonight look like they will touch down either at or slightly above freezing tonight. That's nice to be able to say because for the last couple of nights we have been at or slightly below freezing. So to hit 36 at SeaTac and 32 in Puyallup is a bit of a blessing. Here's what to expect tomorrow. Temperatures will budge about 10 degrees from where they start off. So despite the fact that we'll see some sunshine and some cloud cover out there, doesn't look like it'll be particularly warm. We'll stay in the mid to upper 40s all the way across the region. Look for 48 in Yelm and Olympia, 45 in Belfair. Off towards the coast, looks like we'll see 50 in Forks. That offshore influence keeping things slightly warmer there, believe it or not. And then inland, oh, it's going to be chilly. We're talking 43 in Tri-Cities and 34 in Omak. 7-day forecast shows again, what is called a benign pattern. We'll be in the 30s in the overnights. We'll be in the mid to upper 40s. Looks like early next week we'll break into the low 50s and see plenty of sunshine out there. So as I mentioned earlier, if you're looking for an opportunity to get out in the yard, get some leaf raking done or some preps for winter weather, we're about 42 days away from the beginning of winter, so time to get out there and do some preps. In the meantime, stay safe, stay warm, and as always, keep looking up. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett in the King 5 Newsroom. Have a great evening.